Chapter 23. Hidden Stone Secrets. Part 1. Inoki hands Akatsuchi a scroll to be stored away. HRMM, the Tsuchikage looks up to Naruto and Hinata and their three apprentices. Teshin, huh? I'd hoped if the Teshin clan decided to produce shinobi once more it'd be for the hidden stone, but… Hinata eyes the Tsuchikage. But wasn't it the hidden stone who exiled them, years ago? It was a mutual disagreement. When they began parading around and acting superior to the other clans, Lord Mu had a conversation with them that did not go well, as I can remember. Both Lord Mu and the clan leader at the time had strong beliefs and values. But when they started continuously losing fights against the Hyuga, they began lowering their head more until their pride could no longer take it and they stopped being shinobi by their own volition. That's really sad, you know? Even though they were that strong, they gave it up. Couldn't you just invite him back or something? It is sad, but that's how it is. It was their choice to remain isolated, just as it was their choice to become a dojo. The old man looks to Shoto. And you're sure you want to be an apprentice to a Hyuga, your clan's old rivals? Hey, Gramps, you trying to change his mind? Naruto crosses his arms, a playful frown on his face. He knows that Tsuchikage wouldn't actually do anything malicious. Inoki chuckles. I had to try. Shoto looks between Inoki and Hinata. There's no one else who could be my teacher. The elder leans back in his chair. A shame, indeed, but if that is your decision, I won't fight you on it. And this won't cause any issues, seeing as he's from the land of Earth. Hinata places a hand on the boy's shoulder. I've already received Kuretsuchi's opinion on the matter. He wags a scroll that was arrived via Carrier Hawk not long ago. And I agree with her. This little exchange that you're a part of is the first step in the Shinobi Alliance, but it's just that, the first step. We've thought long and hard how to facilitate the changing times, and I see this as a good start. So, he's good to become a citizen of the Land of Fire? Well, just because I agree to it doesn't mean it's going to happen right away. It's going to take some bureaucracy, but it should be done by the time you leave for the next village. He gives an affirmative nod. Naruto grins to Shoto. You hear that? You're basically all set to be a shinobi. The boy tries his best to hold his excitement. He bows to the Tsuchikage. Thank you greatly. Everyone smiles at Shoto's dream being on its way to become true. Hinata turns to Inoki. Speaking of our mission here, what is it about the Uzumaki clan that you were able to discover? Naruto grabs his head in shock. Oh man. I completely forgot about that. Inoki raises a brow. You ought to remember these things, it's your clan, after all. Look, a lot happened in the meantime, okay? The blonde grumbles. It's been a while. Right. Inoki begins rummaging through some papers and scrolls, looking for something. I knew I put it somewhere here. He throws scrolls behind his back that Akatsuchi swiftly catches and orders them. The man is plump, but he's still a shinobi of the highest order. Lord Tsuchikage? The man tries to grab his leader's attention. Not now. But. Be quiet, I'm looking. They all patiently watch Inoki go through everything on his desk, and once he's done, Akatsuchi grabs a scroll from the shelf nearby and hands it to him. Here it is. Huh? What? Inoki turns around and angrily snatches it from his hand. Why didn't you say something? I tried. Inoki grumbles and hands Naruto the scrolls. There's a place not far from here, an ancient temple or something or other that's been around as long as anyone can remember. We believe it to be connected to the Uzumaki clan, although any attempt to figure out its purpose has failed. We can't even enter the blasted place, it's sealed away, and not one of us has managed to crack it. Then how can you be certain it is connected to the Uzumaki clan if you've not been able to enter it? Simply put, we can't. Inoki shrugs. The writings and seals placed inside bear a resemblance to what we know of them, but it is old. Very old. Much older than the villages. The only reason we had to worry about what it's for is when the Hidden Leaf sent a small force of shinobi to it. And some of them managed to enter. Then we have a lead, right? Naruto gets excited. Who entered? I think I can remember Tobirama Senju and Sasuke Saratobi being there? Inoki racks his brain. There was someone else too, the people they managed to get inside, but I can't put my finger on it. Probably some nobodies. Old age getting to ya, Gramps. I'd like to see you when you live, as long as I have. Although you're a blasted Uzumaki, you'll probably look and feel years younger. He grumbles again. Either way, the Leaf sought it out, although the reasons remain a mystery to us. I asked your slug princess to look into it, but there's apparently no records of such a thing ever happening. So, you go there and look into it. So we got nothing? We don't even know what it is or how to get inside. What good is any of this? Meanwhile, Akatsuchi goes around the desk and hands out rock cakes and drinks to the kids, sitting on a sofa to the side. This is taking a while. Perhaps that Tsuchikage is correct, Naruto. If we go there, we could see what's present and then investigate further what its purpose is. I believe it's worth giving it a chance. I guess you're right. And we still gotta visit the ruins of the hidden whirlpool, see what's over there, too. Maybe what we find here will help us there. He scratches his chin. My sentiments exactly. She nods in agreement. But isn't it kinda weird the hidden leaf went there, but didn't leave info why? Naruto furrows his brow. Tobirama Senju was a meticulous man, right to his core. If he'd found something out, he'd have left behind instructions to it. The fact that he apparently didn't makes me think this is something overly sensitive, that even he dared not meddle with it. And he's the man who created the Edo Tensei, so that's saying a lot. Inoki can't help but grimly chuckle. Katori perks up. So we're going on a trip? Hinata gives a sympathetic smile. I'm sorry, Katori, I'm not certain how safe it is to bring you along with us. Shoto jumps to his feet. But we're here to learn, aren't we? And we can't learn from you unless we're with you. Yakimaru's looking down, not shoulders slumped. I'd like to come too. Naruto turns to Hinata. We can take him. It shouldn't be any different from us walking from village to village. Like that Tsuchikage said, people can't even enter, so we'll just go there to look around and be on our way back. We probably won't have any trouble on the way. Well, that jinxed it. Hinata nervously looks between them and the Tsuchikage, as if expecting the old man to confirm or deny. Inoki shrugs. It's a simple trip, we're not sending you to fight or anything. Hinata sighs. Very well. And holds Naruto's hand. A part of her is still worried about the unknown nature of their current mission, but the two of them are there to protect them, as they have been all this time. Katori pumps her fist. Yes. Tsuchikage smiles. Shoto bows. We won't cause trouble, I swear it. Akatsuchi, you're going as their guide. Prepare to leave first thing tomorrow. The man stands up and bows. Yes, sir. Itten. Inoki yells so he can be heard from outside and on cue. A man sporting a goatee opens the door and stands at attention. Show Naruto Uzumaki and Hinata Hyuga where they'll be staying for the duration of their mission. Itten gives a firm nod. Yes, sir. Inoki turns to Naruto and Hinata. We did have to make some last-minute changes, seeing as you have 3 children with you now, but I hope you find it comfortable. Hinata bows politely. Thank you for your consideration. With that, they're all led away into the streets of the hidden stone village. As the name suggests, it's a natural stronghold built into a ravine and surrounded by tall cliff sides. Not unlike the hidden cloud, it makes use of the landscape for housing, but whereas that village uses the mountains as a base to build their homes on, this village uses the rocky terrain itself as houses. Either carved naturally or with the use of earth-style jutsu, nearly every building is carved into massive protruding earthen structures. They're taken to an apartment complex, handed their keys, and wished a good evening. Inside is a fairly cozy home, considering it's carved from bedrock. Fully furnished with everything they need and with 2 rooms. 1 room with a king bed and 1 with 3 separate beds apparently for the kids. There's evidence of that room being tampered with earth style. This was possibly a 3-room apartment before, but then one of the 3 would have to sleep separately. They all get their things in order and make themselves feel as at home as they can. Naruto and Hinata sit on the couch, Naruto with his hand over her shoulders and Hinata resting her head on his chest. The kids were getting their room ready until recently and are now on the balcony, looking out into the village. So I guess this is gonna be home for the next 2 months. Naruto rubs her shoulder, getting cozy. It still feels surreal. And we'll still have the hidden sand and hidden mist after that. And then, we can finally go home. She snuggles under his arm. Ha, finally? We only just started the mission. True, but it was just the 2 of us. Now we have Katori and Yakimaru and Shoto to think about. And there's still our living situation after we get to the hidden leaf. She holds his hand and wraps it around her like a shawl. Still worried about that? Granny Tsunade said she'd take care of it and we'll have a home of our own when we get back. He talks about their life together as if it's always been like this. Or is something else bothering you? He looks down at her inquisitively. I'm sorry. I guess I'm still nervous about moving too fast. Aren't you? She looks up to him, almost apologetically for thinking this way. He thinks for a second. Nope. 'Cause every time I think about it, I get really happy, you know? Worrying never crosses my mind when I think about you. Her cheeks flush with red, and she buries her face. You can't just say something sweet like that, it's not fair. Naruto grins and kisses her on the temple. We'll be fine. You're incredibly strong, caring, thoughtful, brave. She can't help but smile, all her worries washed away. Second only to me, of course. They both break into laughter. Naruto Shisho. Shoto calls out as the three of them come running into the living room. Although the moment they see how snugly Naruto and Hinata are, they turn around. Actually, maybe later. No, come back. Naruto beckons them to return as Hinata sits in a more presentable position. What is it? The three of them look between each other and nod, and Shoto is the one to bring it up. We saw a training ground not far from here. Ha, and you want to give it a whirl? They all nod. Well. Naruto looks to Hinata. I see no reason not to. She nods in agreement. And we do need to buy at least some groceries. We'd need to go out, either way. All right. Naruto jumps to his feet. Let's go. He makes his way to the balcony and looks around, followed by the kids and then Hinata. Where is it? Katori points. Over there. He nods. All right. He grabs Shoto and Yakimaru, who yelp in surprise. Hinata, grab Katori. And he flickers away. Katori looked confused before she saw what Naruto did. Hinata chuckles and grabs Katori. Hold right. And she follows. Training ground. Ninja art, feather kunai. Two feathers fly at Shoto, who manages to swat them away with a simple kata with his darkened hands. Crystal style, crystal wall. The small wall juts out under him, but he manages to step back. With his vision blocked, Yakimaru jumps on top and just as Shoto is about to strike at him, he flickers just behind the Teshin ready to attack. Shoto's attack cracks the wall and Yakimaru uses the opening to attack. Shoto is pushed against a wall, but his more extensive training kicks in and he manages to counter and push back. Katori uses the wall as a prop as well, appearing behind and over him. Ninja art, feather curtain. Shoto's vision becomes obscured by multiple sparrow feathers. Both Katori and Yakimaru use this chance to get in close, and they manage to get Shoto off his balance and knock him back a bit, but the boy's taijutsu proves superior. His earth spear really does hurt, but he's not hitting at full strength, holding back at a reasonable level. He regains the upper hand in terms of taijutsu, and they back off. Katori grins. You're really good. Shoto smirks and brushes his cheek with his sleeve. You two are pretty good. Naruto Shisho has taught you well, but you're not there yet. He runs forward and forms seals. Earth style, earth flowing spear. You can do that too. Katori shouts out as they dodge out of the way of a large rock spike piercing up from the ground. Seeing that, Yakimaru gets an idea. His walls were used against him before, and he might be able to do the same. Although the person who cracked his walls was a Hyuga with a special form of taijutsu, and he doesn't have anything of the sort. He can't crack his own walls, and this stone looks far too sturdy for him. His mind wavers for a moment, and Shoto takes advantage of that. Instead, Shoto swings his arm and roughly brushes his dark fingers against a flowing spear. Part of it cracks, and he sends dust flying in Yakimaru's eyes, allowing Shoto to down him. Ninja art aviary, peacock. A young male peacock materializes and runs toward Shoto. It's nowhere near as colorful or big as an adult, but she's still far off from getting a larger one. Its tail is also a dull color and much shorter, but it still takes up much of Shoto's field of vision when it spreads it. He tries to shove to the side, but it's vicious and intent on getting right up in his face. Before he can deal with it, Katori comes running at him from the side of the peacock. To Rash. He takes a stance, ready to face her. When he tries to hit, though, his hand goes right through and her form disappears. Clone. Another two Katoris come at him, one from the other side of the peacock and one jumping above it. Unable to discern which one is real in time, he tries to counter both of them at once, but they both disappear. The real Katori reveals herself to be just behind the clone that came from the side. Shoto tries to punch at her, but she immediately fires two feather kunai and they strike right into his fist. Shoto cries out in pain. His earth spear is effective, but it's still not at the level it can be, and the feather kunai were enough to pierce through his skin and draw blood. At this point, Naruto and Hinata intervene. Shoto, I'm so sorry. Katori panics around him as he gets the feathers unstuck from his fist. It's fine. He grunts in pain. It's not really fine, but he'll live. Naruto helps Yakimaru get off his butt. Hinata takes out a med kit and begins treating their wounds, applying ointment, wrapping it in a bandage. It's nothing serious. It should heal in a day or so. She gives a warm smile that reminds Shoto of his own mother. He looks away shyly and mutters, "Thanks." Yakimaru rubs his shoulder. "I guess we can't exactly beat you taijutsu." Shoto raises his wrapped fist. "Sure you can." He clenches it. "But I'll make sure this won't happen again." His face becomes odd after that. His cheeks are puffed and he's breathing through his nose. "Good." Katori chimes in. "'Cause we'll be trying something different next time." Katori leans in closer to him, seeing his changed expression. "It hurt when you closed your fist?" He gives a pained nod. "It did. It really did." Naruto ruffles their heads and laughs. "Alright, let's get back, well, home, I guess." They return the same way they left, by flickering up the stone structures and into their apartment. Naruto and Hinata leave them alone for a bit to go shopping. They only need dinner for now, and maybe some non-perishables, since they're all going away tomorrow and won't really be around for a few days. When they get back, Hinata cooks a meal with the help of Katori. Naruto, bless his heart, tried to help, but maybe that'll require some separate training on its own. They sit down and share a proper meal for the first time, all 5 of them. They talk and they laugh, and for some, this truly feels like home. First thing in the morning, the group meets up with Akatsuchi at the village's main road, prepared to head out with all their essentials packed. When Naruto and Hinata first met Katori, she had no training in the ninja arts, and she had to be carried if they were to reach their destination in time, but now, they're all able to hold their own fairly well. They're obviously still not at the speeds they can be, and progress is still slow, but Katori, Yakimaru, and Shoto do a good job keeping up, and they push through their exhaustion and break their limits. In its own way, this is better training than the spars and lessons they do. It took them 2 days to reach this mysterious temple. Looking at it from afar, it could easily be confused as another mountain or hilltop, but approaching it makes it clear that it's artificial. It's an odd shape, with many geometrical parts dotted over it and many caves that lead inside. Akatsuchi has been taking the lead so far, and he's the first to recognize it. "Welcome to the Temple of the Stone Song." Hinata looks it over. "Stone Song?" Their guide nods. "Yep. We don't really know the full details, but it seems like it's an extremely intricate tunnel system. It's quiet now, but when the wind picks up and passes through the caves, it howls and whistles like a song. It's kind of beautiful, but also kind of eerie. People of the past thought it to be haunted." Naruto tenses up. Haunted? It's not really, right?" Katori grabs onto Naruto's shirt. That's just a story, right?" Shoto looks between the two of them. "Don't tell me, you too." Akatsuchi waves dismissively and continues to the entrance. "It's just superstition. We know better now." Naruto pats Katori on the head. "See? Nothing to worry about." "I wasn't worried at all. I just thought it might be some very old complex jutsu." Hinata giggles and ushers them all along. Coming right up to the entrance, Akatsuchi presses his hand against the open pathway but meets resistance from seemingly nothing. That's how every path is. We've tried everything, and not even Lord Tsuchikage's dust style can break it. Naruto whistles. "That's pretty strong. I saw what he can do in a fight." Hinata activates her Byakugan to scan the area, but quickly deactivates it and shakes her head. "I can't see anything in sight either. It completely blocks my vision." The kids tilt their heads back to look at the very tall structure. "It's so big, guys?" Everyone snaps their heads to Naruto, only to see him standing inside, where Akatsuchi was just unable to pass. "I got in." "What?" Akatsuchi hurries over and tries to pass, but is met by the same resistance. "How did you get in?" "I don't know. I just walked and entered, like normal." Naruto steps out and back to demonstrate. Hinata approaches. "Lord Tsuchikage said this was possibly built by the Uzumaki. Could it be that a powerful seal was placed to only allow Uzumaki to enter?" "That's possible. It's one thing we've never really tried, as we don't have any Uzumaki that we know of." Yakimaru's voice breaks the conversation. Akatsuchi and Hinata turn to where his voice is coming from, inside, right next to Naruto, along with Katori and Shoto. "We got in too." Akatsuchi scratches his head. There goes that theory. Seeing as the others had luck, Hinata steps forward and enters just fine. She turns around to their guide. It seems like only you're not allowed to enter. Maybe if you guys are allowed to enter, you can pull me in? Akatsuchi presses himself against the invisible wall that exists only for him. Naruto and Hinata reach out to try and pull him inside, but it's no use. Their hands and arms can pass just fine to grab the stone ninja, but when it comes to trying to get him inside, nothing. Naruto keeps on pulling, squishing the other shinobi against the air. Akatsuchi taps out and is let go, finally able to catch his breath. His cheeks are a little reddened from where they were pressed. He sighs. Alright, I guess it's up to you two. Figure out this place's purpose if you can. I'll wait out here and be on the lookout for any changes to the structure. Akatsuchi taps at his walkie-talkie and checks that it's still working. Testing, testing. Naruto and Hinata's react. Hinata responds on her own radio. It seems like they still work beyond the barrier. Naruto looks around further down the corridor. They didn't have radios back then, right? Guess they couldn't protect against a future. No, I guess not. Stay in touch, you two. They nod and head on further inside. Hinata activates her Byakugan once again and this time, she can see just fine. The tunnels truly are complex, and many of them twist and bend and don't actually go anywhere. It takes her a bit of time to make a mental map of the place and scan every area. Thankfully, it doesn't look trapped in any way, so they're perfectly safe. The structure itself is stable enough, so there's not a whole lot to worry about there. The main, and only, thing of note is a room in the middle, drenched in sealing formulae. The team reaches the room safely thanks to Hinata's guidance and look around. The formulae are vast and numerous, covering basically the entire wall and floor with markings. Hinata furrows her brow. I don't recognize any of these seals or what they're for. They've chakra flowing through them, though, so whatever they do, they can be activated. Naruto, not really familiar with seals, tries to test something. He sits down to meditate and after a few moments, enters sage mode. He opens his eyes and scans the room. Whatever they are, they're infused with natural energy too. They're not ordinary seals. The kids are in completely uncharted territory for them. Katori sticks with her mom. So what should we do? Why were we even allowed to enter? I don't know, honey. But for now, we should at least take note of the seals. Ah. She activates her radio. Akatsuchi? I hear you. A distorted voice comes from the machine. There's only one main room, full of sealing formulae. We don't know for what purpose, but we'll write them down. It may take a while. Take as much time as needed. You're the first people to enter since the incident with the hidden leaf. She deactivates the radio and brings out her scrolls, ready to begin. This really will take a while. Naruto's not the most eager to write, especially when it's this much, but there's little else they can do. As he sets up his backpack, a voice echoes in his mind. Naruto. Let me out. I think I know what this is. What? Naruto turns around in his mindscape to take a look at Kurama. For real? What is it then? I can't say for certain. Let me out so I can take a closer room. I can't focus like this. Something about Kurama's voice is different. If Naruto didn't know any better, he'd say the fox voice is trembling and nervous. But that can't be true, right? Naruto creates a shadow clone of himself that bears some differences. His facial markings are more pronounced, his eyes are red, and his nails much sharper and longer. Naruto Shisho? Shoto and Yakimaru beside him are a bit taken aback by the change in their teacher. Kurama turns around, eyeing the boys. Not quite. The real Naruto smiles reassuringly. It's all right. That's a friend. I guess I'll have to properly explain what that's all about, huh? But for now, you have nothing to worry about, all right? They both nod. All right. Naruto pats them on the shoulders and goes to meet up with Kurama. Hinata, seeing that the nine-tailed fox is out, approaches them. Do you know something, Kurama? The fox runs his fingers across the seals on the wall. I might. With furrowed brows he examines them and then moves on to the next ones. He steps back and gets a closer look of the room. The more he looks at it, the more his face becomes panicked and worried. It's a song. A song? Naruto crosses his arms and looks around. He doesn't see it. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Akatsuchi said this place is called the Stone Song, right? You recognize it, Kurama? As Hinata approaches Kurama, she spots a single tear running down his cheek before he turns away from her to wipe it away. She didn't even know the Nine Tails could cry or why he would in this situation. Kurama kneels down in the center of the room and mumbles to himself. "This can't be you, can it?" To Mamo, Kurama begins humming a melody. As he does, the seals light up in order, going along with his signing. It's a soft, calming melody and the formulae hum along with him as they light up, creating an orchestra. "Hey, Kurama, this is safe, right?" Naruto brings everyone closer together, making sure they don't lose each other. Kurama doesn't respond and keeps humming. The seals grow louder and brighter as he continues the song until eventually it becomes deafening and blinding. Everyone calls out to each other and makes sure they're in as much contact as they can be. When the sound and light dies down, they open their eyes and find themselves on a road. Naruto and Hinata's first instinct is to make sure the kids are okay. No one seems harmed. "Where are we?" Naruto turns around to see the giant gates of the hidden leaf right in front of them. "What? We got back home? Was it a teleportation formula, like the fourth Hokage's?" In his mindscape, Naruto turns to Kurama, ready to scold his teammate. A little warning would have been. He stops when he gets a better look at the fox. He looks dejected, and the fur around his eyes seems wet. "Kurama?" Kurama lies down and looks away. "It's nothing. I'm sorry. I acted without thinking. It's weird hearing you apologize, but it ain't nothing, right?" "Who's Tamamo?" Kurama huffs and his claws scratch against the floor. "Look, we can talk about it later." "I don't want to." He lifts his head. "Wait, can you feel that?" "That's not a good way to change the subject, you know." Naruto protests. "No, actually feel it. It's my chakra. Coming from inside the village." Naruto looks inside, and as Kurama pointed out, it's there. "But how?" "Hinata." Naruto turns around. "Something's wrong. I can feel Kurama's chakra inside." Hinata places a hand on her boyfriend's arm. "There's something else wrong." She noticed it from the beginning, but couldn't exactly place it. It all looks vaguely similar to the hidden leaf, but at the same time, it didn't. Minor details that seemed off and now she finally sees what's wrong. "Look." She points to the cliffside that overlooks the village. There's only one face on the Hokage monument. End of chapter 23. Chapter 24. Hidden Stone Secrets. Part 2. Hinata points to the cliffside that overlooks the village. There's only one face on the Hokage monument. Naruto looks around, although they're still a good distance from the village itself, and only the gate can really be seen. It's different. It's similar enough that he missed it at first, but the wall is definitely not the exact one they're used to. Why's the Hokage monument only have the first's face? Naruto panics. "I don't know. A genjutsu perhaps?" Hinata activates her Byakugan and scans the area. Or not. All of this is somehow real. "Sensei, where are we?" Yakimaru sticks close to his fellow students. "We don't know yet. But we can find out." Naruto forms a shadow clone, releasing Kurama once again. "Alright, Kurama, what's going on?" "As if I'd know. I'm just as lost as you are." "But you knew about the formula, you knew how to activate it." "It was a lucky guess." "Just because I knew it doesn't mean I knew what it'd do." Kurama huffs. "So how did you know it?" Naruto's getting pushy. "It's a long story, one that I've no intention of telling you about, so drop it." The fox is clearly agitated and anxious about what they'd just been through. "Please, Kurama." Hinata pleads. "If you know of a way to undo whatever it is that happened." "Well, I don't. So you better figure it out." With that, Kurama dismisses the shadow clone he was inhabiting. Naruto clicks his tongue. "Damn it, why's he gotta be like that?" Hinata places a hand on his arm. "If he says he doesn't know, then he doesn't. Forcing him won't accomplish anything, so for now let's see what we can find on our own." "You're right. I guess our first order of business is going into the village?" Naruto looks nervous, the uncertainty of the situation getting to him. The kids are even more nervous. Hinata leans down and smiles warmly. "It'll be fine. We'll protect you, no matter what happens, okay?" The kids nod firmly in response. The five go forward, hand in hand, but after taking only a few steps, Naruto and Hinata spring into action. An attacker. They grab the kids and jump back as a flaming sphere comes roaring right at them. Fire style, great fireball. Just as it's about to head right towards them, and impact the ground, a torrent of water comes rushing directly at it. Water style, water bullet. The collision of fire and water fills the entire area with sizzling steam, blocking their vision. Hinata immediately activates her Byakugan to track her assailant. If the fireball misses, then the water bullet masks their presence. That means they have a sensor who can see through it. Right on cue, she sees shuriken and kunai from all directions flying directly at them. From her position, she knows that she can't hit all of them, and Naruto doesn't have a visual. Her vacuum palms won't get all of them. This is exactly the situation where the revolving heaven thrives, and while she hasn't mastered it, she's been able to master something else. Something that uses the same principle and came to life during her training in Mount Myoboku, thanks to Naruto. She gathers chakra throughout her entire body, pushing it out as much as she can to cover the entire area around them. Rasentengen. A version of the revolving heaven that doesn't require the user to spin to create a defensive perimeter, and a version of the Rasengan that's formed around the user's body rather than their palm. A technique possible thanks to the Hyuga's clan intricate chakra control. The shuriken are blown away, and some of the steam directly around them is too, although not all of it. Keep it up, Hinata. Naruto places a hand on her back, and the two combine their chakras. He sends his wind nature through her, and it gets added to the Rasentengen, increasing its speed and force, creating a whirlwind that disperses the steam entirely. Wind style? Rasentengen. Gaining their visibility, they now see who their assailants are. One man with brown slicked back hair and dark gray armor, and next to him a man with white hair and piercing red eyes, and blue armor with white fur collar. The man in blue is unmistakable. Lord, second? Tobirama Senju steps forward. I'm mildly impressed. It would appear you're not entirely inept as far as intruders go. Perhaps you have the skills to back up your brazen intrusion. Intrusion? Naruto somewhat relaxes his defensive stance. Whatcha talking about, you know us. We fought side by side, so what was all this for? Tobirama tilts his head. What are you babbling on about? I've never seen you in my life. You have the Byakugan, yet I don't recognize you as any of the Hyuga, you somehow possess the Nine Tails chakra. We'll take you in and Yacho Yamanaka can figure out the truth. Your compliance is unnecessary. If you wanted to know, you coulda just asked. As if I'd take your word for anything. The man in gray armor chuckles. So stern, Lord Tobirama. He bites his finger and smears it on his palm. Allow me to handle this. He slams his hand on the ground, and from the following puff of smoke, a large monkey appears. Let's get to work, Inaudai. Inaudai looks at his opponents. 2 teenagers and 3 children. Have you grown soft, Sasuke? I told you this village life would make you rusty. Don't be fooled by their appearance. That boy possesses the Nine Tails chakra. The man takes a stance, one of his palms behind him toward the large monkey and opened upward. Oh? So he's like those blasted Kinkaku and Ginkaku. Very well then. Inaudai grabs his hand and transforms into an intricate black quarterstaff, a golden color adorning the tips. The man spins the staff around and assumes a battle pose. Leader of the Hidden Leaf Sarutobi clan, renowned as the Mountain Leaper, Sasuke Sarutobi will face you in battle. So dramatic. Tobirama sighs. He rushes at them, swirling his quarterstaff. Hinata moves to grab Katori and jump back to get her to safety. Sasuke Sarutobi? But that's Lord Third's father. Naruto does the same with Shoto and Yakimaru. Sasuke catches up with them and swings to hit them both, but they dodge swiftly to the side, but the tips of the staff are still pointed at them. Few know of the monkey summons ability, and it's usually their downfall. The quarterstaff extends rapidly, ready to strike them in the back, but they dodge again, with Hinata ducking down and Naruto jumping over it. Sasuke is both annoyed and impressed. These kids, they know, the staff this time expands, growing thicker and more massive than before, to strike them mid-dodge, but Hinata gets out of the way in time, and Naruto uses the staff's larger form as a platform to get further back. They skid on the ground and put the kids down. Shoto brings his hands together, and they turn a darker brown. We can help. Yakimaru takes a step back in fear, his breathing intensified. It'll be fine, Yakimaru. Katori summons an adolescent lightning condor by her side. Right, a Teshin and a Hoyaku? I thought they died out long ago. Tobirama observes from the back. You 3 stay back. Hinata doesn't take her eyes off Sarutobi. Sasuke Sarutobi, Tobirama Senju, we're not your enemies. She calls out to them. We don't wish to fight you. I don't think they're giving us any say in that, Hinata. A torrent of water comes surging from behind and above Sasuke, aiming right at the group. Water style, water bullet. Seeing this, Naruto springs into action. He gathers chakra and inflates his cheeks, letting out a torrent of his own, but of darker liquid. Toad oil bomb. The oil clashes with the water and stops its progress. The dirt road in front of them is now soaked in both liquids. Tobirama forms a single seal that Naruto has grown very accustomed to, "I'm done playing around," and summons two more of himself to his side. Shadow clones. Sasuke smirks. "Your new jutsu, huh? That's right, now let's see how well it does in battle." Just as Tobirama is about to spring forward, he sees his foe do the exact same seal. Multi-shadow clones. The forest is filled with dozens, if not even hundreds of the unknown to them blonde. On the road, atop the tree, on the bark. And all of them material clones, all of them ready to pounce. Tobirama looks slack-jawed. That's impossible. Sasuke tries to keep all of them in his line of sight, but it's simply impossible. But how? This is a jutsu that even Lord Tobirama has yet to use in combat. Tobirama feels anger welling up in him. Just who are you? Oh, so now you want to talk? The three Tobiramas weave chakra and each fire a highly pressurized stream of water from their mouths, much more so than before. Water style, water severing wave. The water reaches far and completely cuts through the surrounding trees like they're nothing. Many clones are caught in the attack, but many manage to jump through and head right for Tobirama. "Alright, if you won't stop, then I'll force you to." The remaining Narutos gather chakra in their hands, expanding greatly as he comes raining down. Massive Rasengan barrage. Tobirama and his shadow clones manage to damage even more clones with their water-severing wave, but not all of them. Sasuke jumps high and expands his quarterstaff to reach as many as he can. An Out-Eye's staff form clashes with the Rasengan and they come to a standstill. This jutsu is impressive, to be able to withstand the adamantine staff. Naruto's shadow clones come crashing down on the ground, their Rasengans making a huge impact in the ground, leaving behind a huge dust wall. The real Naruto and Hinata are still laying back, lying in wait for a chance to strike. Hinata spots movement from the corner of her extended vision. Naruto. To her left. Tobirama emerges from behind the trees, just as Sasuke emerges from the dust. Fire style, great fire destruction. Water style, great waterfall. Sasuke spews out an intense flame that covers the entire path, while Tobirama summons a huge vortex of water. Both of them aimed right at Naruto's group. Naruto barely reacts to the high-level ninjutsu thrown their way. "I'm done playing around." His voice is even, and the kids are somehow more startled by their usually cheerful sensei sounding like that than they are of the deadly ninjutsu heading their way. Naruto becomes engulfed in orange chakra, ready to unleash Kurama's might. However, before he can, the infernal flames and surging water are stopped. The ground around them breaks and large trees emerge from the ground, completely blocking Sasuke and Tobirama's attacks. Sage art wood style, forest tree barrier. When the trees submerge back into the ground, two new figures make their presence known. A dark-haired man clad in red armor and a woman in red robes, her bright red hair tied in two buns with what appear to be sealing tags hanging from them. Hashirama focuses his gaze on his two friends, full of rage. Tobirama. Sasuke. Were you trying to kill these children? The ground under him cracks as he sounds out a wave of killing intent. Sasuke falls to one knee from the pressure. Lord, first. Tobirama manages to stay on his feet, but his knees are heavily buckled. Elder brother, they are an unknown entity. No, Tobirama, they are known entities. The red-haired woman bows to Naruto and Hinata. I deeply apologize for the rude welcome. The woman gives off an air of elegance and refinement. Hinata is polite and aware of social etiquette, but this woman is different. Almost like what a grown-up Hinata might be like. We must go someplace isolated, away from prying eyes. Hashirama calmly walks over to the nearby trees that were damaged in the scuffle. He places a hand on one of them and forms seals with only one hand. Sage art wood style, restoration. With that, every single tree that was cut down by Tobirama's severing waves begin growing back to their original size. The trees currently on fire by Sasuke's fire style grow over the flames and snuff them out. The forest is back to how it was previously. Tobirama, take us somewhere safe. Thanks to Tobirama's flying thunder god, they were able to immediately go to a remote location. The redhead sits down and motions for Naruto's group to do the same. She turns to Hashirama. Dear husband, would you allow us some privacy? Of course. He nods and goes outside, motioning for Tobirama and Sasuke to follow him. Once they close the door, Tobirama stares at it, as if he'd somehow see what's happening inside. Elder brother, do you think this is wise? I agree. I don't doubt her ability to defend herself, but is trusting these strangers truly wise? Sasuke shares in the future second Hokage's worries. She said she's aware of their purpose, but wouldn't divulge any more information. If she won't share it, then that just means it's sensitive information. I trust her completely. You're being naive, elder brother. If this information would affect the village in any way. Tobirama. The Hokage stops his brother with a glare. Drop it. That's an order. Yes, sir. He begrudgingly agrees. Inside, the redhead looks at the door with a light smile. I imagine by this point Tobirama has been told to quell his worries. She then turns to her guests. I apologize for the late introduction. My name is Mito Uzumaki, and I have been expecting your arrival for some years now. You knew we were coming? Not of you specifically, but I knew someone would. Mito takes out a scroll, one ancient and torn. I once visited the mysterious Temple of Stone's Song and found this scroll, among some others. The writings inside this scroll activated upon your arrival. I spent years studying its secrets and discovered it to be a space-time ninjutsu, however the method of activation was unknown to me. Awesome. So that means you're our ticket outta here, right? Naruto nearly stands up from his seat. But maybe before that, there's something else for us to accomplish. If we were allowed to enter and activate the temple's seals where others weren't, there must be a reason for it. I'm not certain as to how. If you're here, then you're already aware as to how to activate it and thus can do it once more to return. Mito nods to Hinata. Perhaps you're correct, and it's no mere coincidence that you were transported to the Hidden Leaf. Our meeting is meant to happen, although I cannot fathom as to what our meeting is for. Excuse me, Lady Mito. Hinata chimes in. But you said you went to the temple, correct? Then how were you able to enter? There's supposed to be powerful seals in place that prevent entrance, and yet the five of us were able to enter freely. And now you say you were able to, as well? Mito sighs. That, unfortunately, I do not know. I'd suspected it was due to my being in Uzumaki, but other members of the clan were unable to enter. Naruto is sitting down cross-legged, in contrast to the others in the room. Maybe that's why we got sent to you, cause you're in Uzumaki. Maybe this is where we get answers. He lightly turns his head to look to Hinata. Hinata nods. The great beasts. Mito's expression turns serious. Why would you want to know about that? How do you even know about them? Naruto and Hinata look between each other, unsure how to continue this conversation. Seeing this, Mito reassures them. Whatever has happened, wherever you are from, you've my word it will not leave this room. If they've re-emerged then you should know how imperative it is to stop them. Hinata tries not to reveal too much. I'm not sure how much we can say without saying more than we should, but the great beasts are a threat where we're from. Someone has brought them back from their seals, and we do not have anyone who knows what they are or how to prevent their emergence. I see. That is worrisome, indeed. So, you do know about them, right? I've already fought two of them, but they were still weak from the gates. I know some, yes. As much as one can know history dating back hundreds of years. They were monstrous beings, rivaling the tailed beasts in strength, but lacking their sentience and ability to coexist. They ran rampant and often clashed with the people of the land or the tailed beasts. Sometimes even both at once, leading to a certain degree of cooperation. That remained until a clan of sealing users, imprisoned then in the summon gates of Rashomon, said to connect our world to another. If these gates are the same as the one I saw, then someone's figured out how to unseal them and call them back from that other world. Naruto recalls the little bit that Kurama and Yuki knew about them. That means we just gotta find someone who knows about the gates, right? And maybe we can seal them for good this time. Yes, did we see one come out of a gate, which I presume is the Rashomon? I've heard of them told in stories. Supposedly the first Hokage is able to call upon them? Mito nods. Correct. I taught him to summon them. However, summoning them and opening them are two vastly different aspects. The seals placed on the Rashomon are ancient and powerful and require decades of dedicated study. I'm renowned as a master among the best of the Uzumaki clan, and yet even I could not fathom how to open them. Whoever it is you're facing is powerful, and the knowledge they possess likely does not end there. Naruto tightens his fist. So it's not much more than we already know. Cause it sounds like our main option is to get rid of the guys who do know how to open the gates. Lacking the ancient knowledge of the Rashomon's seal, that is one possible course of action, yes. Another is to delve deep into their psyche and connect to the person inside of them. Mito closes her in contemplation. Wait. What you mean, person inside them? Naruto leans forward. That is one of the secrets about the great beasts that has been preserved even more so than their existence. She opens her eyes. The great beasts used to be people. None of them see or know how tense Kurama got upon hearing that. He scrapes the ground with his claws with a hint of panic in his eyes. Did you know something, Tamamo? Is that why, that place? He prays Naruto doesn't pay him a visit right now because he won't have the mental fortitude to keep a conversation. Hinata and Naruto are unable to hide their surprise. Those creatures are people? But how? In a certain way, they can be likened to Jinchuriki, the hosts of the tailed beasts. Long ago, chakra was more abundant in the world, especially with the presence of the tailed beasts. Some tried to take advantage of their strength and absorb it into themselves, but it proved too much. The more they absorbed, the more monstrous they became, until they eventually turned into beasts of their own. Devoid of the emotions they once had, they rampaged, guided only by the foreign chakra that now ran wild within them. It wouldn't be until much later that Shinobi found a different way of containing the tailed beasts, but the damage was already done. A new threat, arguably greater than the tailed beasts, now roamed the world. Hinata grips her pants as tightly as she can. That's terrible. Naruto stares at the ground in disbelief. For all these years, those people have been like that, with no way of getting back to normal? Perhaps you hold the solution, ones who have traveled through space and time. Perhaps you are the ones to finally free them and put an end to their suffering. I, however, fear I cannot help you any more than I have, for I lack the knowledge to do so. Then, do you know how we're supposed to get back to where we belong? I would assume the same way you arrived here. Go to the Temple of Stone's song and activate it. Then we would best get going. Hinata goes to stand up. The kids follow. I fear what would happen if we stay longer than we're supposed to. Mito stands up as well and goes to open the door, allowing Hashirama, Tobirama, and Sasuke to enter the room. I'm inclined to agree. I hope I have helped to an extent. Tobirama looks annoyed, although he always does, so nothing's really changed. Have you finished? We have, yes. Mito turns to Hashirama. I've a request, dear husband. They need to reach the Temple of Stone's song immediately. I was hoping Tobirama and Sasuke could act as escort. What? Tobirama nearly laughs at the suggestion. Why would I bother going deep into the land of Earth for this lot who we know nothing of? I know enough of them, and I ask that you take my word that they are to be trusted. Hashirama nods. If you trust them, then that's good enough for me. You two are to leave right away. Mito places a hand on Tobirama's chest. I know you've a strong sense of duty, dear brother. I know how much you love this village, and I can assure you I share in that love and would tell you were there any danger to it. Tobirama scrunches his nose. Don't do this to me, Mito. You're a brave, kind man and I trust you implicitly, and I ask that you do the same. Those children are our allies. He clicks his tongue. Fine, I'll do it. And begins walking to the group. Sasuke laughs and joins them. You've left seals around the land of Earth, correct? Tobirama approaches. Of course I have, don't insult me. He beckons Naruto's group to get together as they already did before, and they all disappear in a flash. Hashirama and Mito watch on as they leave. The Hokage turns to face his wife and presses his forehead against her and rubs her shoulders. Is there anything you can share? Do you trust me, my love? She wraps her arms around him. With all that I am. Then just now know the hidden leaf you've worked so hard for is in safe hands. She leans in to kiss her husband. He smiles and holds her close. That's good enough for me. The group of now 7 are steadily making their way to their destination. Thanks to Tobirama Senju's precautions in placing seals as regularly as he can, they're extremely close to the familiar temple, mere minutes away even. Just so you know, the Senju is leading the charge. I don't rust you one bit. Make one move I don't approve of, and I won't hesitate to attack. Yeah, you've said that already. Look, the sooner we get there, the sooner we'll be out of your hair, and you won't have to worry about us again, alright? He scoffs. We'd already be there if you'd trained your charges better in the ninja arts. Naruto grumbles, but Hinata places a comforting hand on his shoulder. The kids can't help but take the words to heart. They have to admit, they've had it somewhat easy since Naruto appeared in their lives. They're significantly better, but are they really doing everything they can to improve? Or are they taking it slow because Naruto is too nice to them? After about half an hour, they're finally in front of the Temple of Stone's song. They manage to avoid any main roads in case of hidden stone patrols, which was an easy task given that they have a sensory type, but you can never be too certain. Tobirama's powerful, his range is probably greater than most others, so he should be able to sense others before they can sense them. They're right in front of the entrance with no enemies in range. They're completely safe unless. Dust style, atomic dismantling. A massive chakra signature suddenly appears out of nowhere. The one person who can't be detected. Everyone jumps back, managing to avoid a large translucent pillar of light that encompasses the area. Filled with a flash of light, it disappears in the ground, where it landed disappears with it, as if it was reduced to nothing. A man floats down from the skies, his entire body wrapped in bandages. The one person in the entire hidden stone that Tobirama isn't able to detect. The first Tsuchikage's most trusted shinobi Mu, the Null Man. Tobirama Senju and Sasuke Saratobi. What a surprise to find you here. Ah. Naruto points to the new arrival. It's the mummy guy. We don't have the time. Tobirama immediately springs into action, forming seals. Water style, water dragon bullet. He draws water from the air itself, a skill that not many water style users can pull off. A large serpentine creature heads right for Mu. Then I won't waste your time, if it's so precious to you. Mu is unfazed. Dust style, atomic dismantling. The water dragon getting blown provides a curtain of water that rains down on the area. Tobirama stands face to face with his foes, keeping him in place. In the short time it took for that to happen, the others took advantage of the situation and made a run for it. Naruto created 3 shadow clones to carry the kids faster. Quick to act, Sasuke is already wielding his adamantine staff and uses its properties to swing at Mu from a great distance, trying to keep him at bay while they make a dash for the entrance. Mu deftly floats around it, having the full control of his flight to move in every direction. Sasuke keeps thrusting, expanding and extending the staff until it gets extremely close to hitting him, which was never actually his intent. He just had to get the staff close enough. He just had to get the sealing formula close enough. Horatian slash. Tobirama appears from nowhere and cuts Mu on the arm. He swings once more for the head, but Mu falls down to avoid him. The stone Jonin grunts in pain and frustration. To think you'd have already marked the staff in that brief window. You're as annoying as ever, Tobirama. As Tobirama falls to the ground, he smirks. Thank you for the compliment. In an instant, he's already by Mu's side and goes for another slash, but the other man's prepared. Keep moving, Sasuke. He can't predict where the Senju will come from, but as long as he doesn't stay still, his own movements can't be easily predicted either. Tobirama appears several times, but Mu skillfully parries with his own swordplay. He does suffer a few more injuries in the clash, but not as severe as they could have been, and Tobirama doesn't get out unscathed either. When Tobirama skids back in preparation from another attack, Mu immediately cuts the bandages on his right forearm, where the Horatian formula was placed. He stabs the bandages, cutting the seal, so it no longer functions. Why are you here, Tobirama? Who are the kids? Tobirama's expression or tone doesn't change in the least. They're my illegal children from multiple affairs. I'm taking them on a vacation. Humor doesn't suit you. Mu spits out and weaves his chakra. Earth style, rock shelter. He slams his hands on the ground as an earthen dome appears around Tobirama, ready to enclose him. He's swift enough to dodge out of the way, but Mu has already finished weaving another set of hand signs. Earth style, stone bamboo shoot. 4 spikes of rock jut out in an attempt to pierce him, but he's made his own preparations. Water style, water severing wave. The torrent of water isn't strong enough to cut through them as it did with the trees, but it allows him to propel himself away. Didn't even try lightning style. You wound me. And you haven't even tried your dust style again. Do you believe you can beat me without? He stops mid-sentence. His eyes widen. Unless you can't. Sasuke, watch out. Too late. Mu smirks under his mask. Mere meters in front of the entrance, Sasuke begins forming hand signs after hearing the warning. There's no way he already managed to do that, is there? As if on cue, a second Mu appears in front of the main entrance to the temple. Earth style, rock golem. A giant humanoid made of earth and rock emerges from the ground and goes to strike directly at them, but Sasuke is already done. Fire style, great fire destruction. He spits out a stream of fire that expands to cover nearly half of the building in front of them, creating an inferno that even they can feel despite not being the targets. Don't slow down for anything, leave him to me. As instructed, they keep running towards the fire as it eventually dies down. The rock golem is damaged but not destroyed. Mu's clone managed to fly up to avoid the fire, his body covered in a stony exterior. Sasuke expands his staff strike and Mu swings his rock-covered fist to meet the adamantine staff. Tobirama once again appears from thin air to stab him in the shoulder. Damn it. Mu grabs the sword to try pull him closer, but Tobirama just teleports a few centimeters to the side, freeing himself. You slippery bastard. Down on the ground, Naruto and Hinata are charging forward while the shadow clones carry the kids. They join their hands and extend them forward towards the rock golem, chakra gather and swirling in their palms. Gentle step, massive spiraling lion fist. The rock golem manages to withstand for a respectable time, but their combination proves too much and it shatters, allowing them safe passage. Mu can only watch as they step over the threshold of the temple. What? They can actually enter. Mu's anger grows. What are you two planning, Senju? He shouts out. Inside, Hinata once again leads them to the main hall, the same as they saw it before. Naruto lets Kurama take over, and he once again sings the activation melody. And once again, the seals glow along with his humming right up until he finishes the song. They disappear from sight and a blast of energy is released from the temple that washes over everyone on the outside. Tobirama, Sasuke, and Mu can do nothing to really protect themselves from the wave, but it seems like they didn't need to. Nothing happened to them. Physically. Tobirama lands on the ground next to his comrade, confused. Sasuke? What were we here for? The other man looks equally confused. I'm not sure. We were here to intercept Mu, right? Tobirama rubs his head and looks to the hidden stone ninja, who seems to be in the same boat as them. Let's get out of here. Tobirama grabs his friend by the shoulder and teleports them away. Mu lands on the ground and looks around. Damn it, what just happened? My head's splitting apart. After some minutes, a group of hidden stone shinobi come rushing toward him. The shortest and youngest approaches first. Lord Mu, what happened? What was Tobirama Senju doing here? Mu looks uneasily at the Temple of Stone's song. I don't know, Inoki. I don't know. Naruto, Hinata, and the kids don't feel any different. There was a flash of light just like before, but they're still in the same place. Did it work? Should they have been transported to the Hidden Leaf again, or are they meant to be here? Their questions are answered when the radio activates and Akatsuchi's panicked voice comes through. Naruto. Hinata. Come in. Hinata answers. Akatsuchi. We're here. Oh, thank goodness. You've been silent for 10 minutes, what happened? What? Just 10 minutes? Well, yeah? The temple begins to rumble. The ceiling breaks and chunks of stone fall and break on the ground. Katori lets out a yelp. Naruto grabs Hinata's hand and begins running to the exit, along with his clones who are still carrying the kid's piggyback. Yakimeru holds on tight. Didn't we go through enough? Hinata is able to see which bits are about to fall and leads them around, avoiding the dangerous paths. When they reach the exit, Akatsuchi is there, standing a bit at a distance, having moved back once it started rumbling. They make a dash for it and get as far away from the temple as possible, unsure what's happening, whether the ground is structurally unsound, whether it'll fall over and crush them. Much to their surprise, rather than falling, it rises up. Many of the parts shift and move around. Stones fly around larger stones, as if magnetically charged. One particularly large piece attracts 5 smaller ones, and another larger piece attracts 5 more. The more the stones move around, the more obvious it becomes what they are. A humanoid shape. The one's temple now stands at a massive height, perhaps even higher than the tailed beast's. It roars, letting out green smoke around its body. Great beast, Sesso Siki. End of chapter 24.